Hello, good morning. We're back to the authentic you with Fox Graphics Design and Marketing. And today we have Fiona Moss with us. Good morning, Fiona. How are you?
Morning. I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Okay, apart from the old toothache, which I was mentioning earlier. But anyway, as I said, this is authentic. We say what we want on these interviews. So, without further ado, I know what you do, but no one else does who's listening. So, without further ado, the first question, as everybody knows, is what makes you smile? Over to you.
I, I think this is such a nice question. I don't think people actually ask this. And actually, I was a bit like, well, what does make me smile? There's obviously lots of things. I think one thing that I have sort of ingrained in my lifestyle that does make me smile and completely shifts my mood, and that's the reason it is so ingrained, is exercise and getting outside and running. And I think particularly post COVID, a lot of us have kind of, myself included, we're working more from home, we're very isolated, we're very kind of, stationary a lot of the time as well, because we're not getting out, we're not going to meetings and running around here, there, and everywhere. And actually getting outside, being in daylight, getting vitamin D, exercising, I always feel a million times better. And actually, I feel very happy and been smiling all morning because on a Friday morning, I have run club. So, that's a great start to my day, and actually the community there, and that's so important to me. So yeah, that's one thing that makes me smile.
Ah, yes, I agree with the outside. I'm just switching my phone off. I agree with the outside. Before we came on today, I went and got 20 minutes sitting in the garden just while we got this lovely weather and just getting a bit of fresh air. Yeah, totally agree with that. And the thing is, we are sitting I mean, we're sitting not outside, we're not moving, we're sitting on Zoom at the moment. So we have to compensate as well. So I will be quiet because we need to move on. When did you last cry and why?
Now, this is probably the most authentic bit of this now. So, I think people probably don't think it's funny. I'm quite a crier. So I am quite emotional. I like to feel my emotions. I'm not scared of that. I think growing up, I probably wasn't like that. And lived a very British, very British way and stiff upper lip and whatnot. But I think as I've got older, I've learned the best way to navigate really difficult situations is actually facing into your emotions. And unfortunately, my mum's actually had a stroke at the beginning of this year. So this
Oh,
last couple of months has been very complicated from a practical, emotional, supporting her as well, all the kind of aspects that come with that too. So I have definitely had days, and I probably can't pick one because it's probably many, but many days recently where, things have just got a little bit too much and kind of very much felt the weight of
mm,
the responsibility of all of that. And also just, the emotional side of things of, my mum is, one of my best friends and we're very, very close. And actually, you know, the worry around her has been huge for me as well. So yeah, I'm not scared of crying, put it that way. So but yeah, it has been quite recently that I have cried.
oh. Well, I hope all things get a bit better for you on
Yeah,
that
thank you.
score.
She's doing very well. So
Good. It's yes, but you know, crying is actually very good for you in that it helps your blood pressure. Bottling stuff up isn't good. So I used to say, my daughter used to get angry about everything, and I go, just, when you get upset, cry is better. And also, people get it when you cry.
yeah.
So,
Mm.
but
No, I
no,
agree.
right. So, recommend a book, podcast, art gallery, or museum.
Well, I think it's quite good that you've kind of like limited the time on these questions because I could go on and on about this.
Mm.
But I I actually have got out of the habit of reading quite a lot recently, but I have, over the years, I'm an avid reader and I actually did English at university. So but two books that I think are really, really helpful and would be helpful for a lot of people, and whether in business or whether in life, and if I'm allowed to, are one is Everything is Figure Outable, which is an amazing book by, I think it's Marie Forleo. And
Have
it's
you
kind of,
got it there? Do you want
I
to?
haven't,
Oh,
no.
right.
But I just think it's kind of what it says in the title, it's everything is figure outable. And she kind of talks through like how lots of things within our relationship, within our work, within life, we can navigate things, and whether we want to expand our life or just navigate really difficult times, we can figure it out. And it's actually very straightforward, but it was really impactful when I was reading it. And another book as well is one of my favorite books, which is called Be More Pirate. And the concept behind that is very much, pirates, obviously, we wouldn't aspire to be pirates necessarily, but he's kind of looking at the ways which pirates have challenged stereotypes and challenged the status quo, and asked ourselves to think for ourselves rather than just going, with what we're expected to do, and how they were very much the first people to have people of different races, and they were all mixed together, and women captains and things like that. And it's a very, very interesting read. And as I say, I think especially if you're running a business or trying to kind of aspire to be the best in your field, the idea to be more pirate and think for yourself and do things differently is a really interesting way of kind of thinking about it.
I'll be interested when we finish. Can you email those books
Oh my
over?
God.
And
Yeah.
I'll pop when we put this out. I'll pop it in the in the comments, because I think I'm a pirate. I've always been.
I think you're a pirate
I
too,
think
Kate.
I'm a pirate. Right. So that's good. Great. Thank you. What is the best comment or compliment a client has ever said to you?
I found this one quite difficult. So I've kind of thought about it in someone that I was working with once. It wasn't necessarily a compliment, it was a comment. Um, Talked about, conversion happens in conversation. And I'm a big believer that to build business, to drive your career forward, a number of different things, it comes from your community and the people around you. You can't do things necessarily by yourself, but that conversion and that whether it's winning business, whether it's, starting a partnership, whatever it is, largely they're developed through relationships, and those relationships happen, through conversation as well. And I think particularly nowadays, I think we're so we expect everything to happen so instantaneously. You go to one networking event and you think you're going to get loads of leads and loads of business, and it doesn't happen like that. And I was actually speaking to somebody from our networking event where we've met this morning, and I've known him for probably 18 years now, and it's 18 years, 18 months. But it's only really now that we're starting to kind of have more conversations about how we can support one another. But we've developed a relationship up to this point. And so going back to that comment, conversion happens in conversation. I think it's very much around, allow things to grow and develop relationships, because you'll get so much more out of that.
No, I agree. Well, hence we're doing this today.
Yeah, absolutely.
But good one. Why should your ideal client or customer work with you?
I mean,
Think of
obviously
it.
we've not spoken yet about what we do.
I know, but I was just thinking
I can dive into
from that point of view. Go.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are a charity. So we're a charity called the Natalie Kate Moss Trust. We work on the prevention and treatment of brain hemorrhages. So the charity was set up after my sister Natalie unfortunately had a brain hemorrhage when she was just 26. So as a family, we wanted to set something up in her memory to kind of really make a difference to this really quite devastating condition. So hemorrhagic strokes, obviously a brain hemorrhage is a stroke, is really, really devastating. And if somebody does have a brain hemorrhage, unfortunately, there's only 60% of the people, those people who do have them will survive 1 month. So, we really need to be making a huge difference in terms of the treatment to improve that outcome for people and improve, whether that is in terms of survival rates or also even lessening the disability after somebody has a brain hemorrhage. But also as a charity, we work on trying to prevent them from happening in the first place. And that is really focused around the management of blood pressure, because high blood pressure is the leading cause of brain hemorrhages. Yet a third of the population actually has high blood pressure, and 50% of those people are undiagnosed because there are no symptoms that kind of come with high blood pressure, or very little. So we really try and educate and drive awareness and drive access to testing as well, because the more people we can get in front of, hopefully the more cases of high blood pressure we can pick up and direct people to get proper care as well. And therefore, hopefully, prevent cases of brain hemorrhages from happening. So, in terms of why a company, should work with us, I mean, ultimately, if you have employees in your team, they all have blood pressure. We all have blood pressure. And so the best way that you can support them with their health is helping them to manage this huge risk factor, not only of brain hemorrhages, but a multitude of different health conditions. High blood pressure leads to heart attacks, damage in terms of organs, different types of strokes, neurological conditions such as like Alzheimer's, dementia, etc. So it's actually the underlying cause of 10 million deaths every single year. So
Wow.
as a business owner, as with the responsibility for your employees, I think it doesn't take much to say, okay, well, let's teach them about this and give them the information, because it's not complicated information. Just a lot of us just don't have it. And I would put my hand up and say 3 years ago, I didn't know what we teach. But it's a very simple sort of, we can come in for 30 minutes, give them this information, and as I say, it potentially could be life-saving for them.
Super. So really, I mean, you need to be talking to all business owners or decision makers and HR.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that answers that question, which leads nicely into what is your business, which you have said. So how can people get in contact with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So the best way, obviously, to find out more about what we do is our website. So that's www.nataliekatemoss.co.uk. To get in contact with me directly, feel free to email me, which is fiona@nataliekatemoss.co.uk, or drop me a message on LinkedIn as well. And obviously, I'd love to connect with anyone who does want to kind of educate and support their employees with this really important message.
Oh, that's brilliant. No, we talked about it last month, and I've heard about it through Helen and all the rest of it, because I think you did a seminar, which I didn't get to. But yeah, no, I can speak firsthand that uh, knowing your body and your blood pressure is essential. And that it is, what do they call it? Is it the hidden killer?
Silent killer.
Yeah. It's so it is good to, when you go into chemists and you go into places and they have you can have free read your blood pressure. I would suspect that a lot of people think, oh, that's nothing to do with me.
And they do.
I don't know, but they should do it.
Yeah, absolutely. You can still have high blood pressure even if you are fit, well, healthy, young. So there's
Athletes
we
do.
say never assume, just test.
Very good point. Thank you very much. Well, that's been great. So this will be going out shortly. So I better just sign off. My name's Kate Fox, as you can see. And what do? I polish businesses up beautifully with design, brand, and marketing strategies, which enables businesses to get ahead of their competition. So you can find me on all social media. LinkedIn is one of my preferred ones, but I'm on Facebook, Insta, and website foxgraphicsdesign.com. And thank you very much today for coming, Natalie. Fiona, not Natalie, but it's Natalie Kate Moss Foundation, isn't it?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you very much, Kate. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye bye.